Alright, Faction. Let's get into it. So, apparently Bungie just dropped this, like maybe a bit ago. The Lightfall Crucible update. So this is what they're going to be. This is the update that they're probably going to be rolling out tomorrow or later on this month, or later on in the next couple months. They're going to be rolling this change out. So Lightfall has launched, and we are now several weeks into season 20. It's like maybe a month into the season. Sorry, I wasn't planning to make a video, but this like just came out, so like my hair's like fucked up. Um, so lots of updates are live, and with everything from an overhauled build crafting system to fresh seasonal weapons and raid loot. While these changes have given our both PvE and Crucible players a lot of exciting things to look forward to, we're planning some meaningful changes in the activity and reward structure for Crucible. I want to give everyone a preview of what's to come. So there's a lot to talk about. So here's a too long didn't read of what we're covering. Playlists and offerings, updates to maps and game mode waiting, now live. Clash is leaving quick play mid-season. New connection-based matchmaking, Crucible Rotator incoming mid-season. Matchmaking, a day-driven explanation of the Fireteam matchmaking. Fireteam matchmaking has replaced freelance. So things like Iron Banner, Trials, which we tried and we got a solo flawless. Be sure to look for that stream in the VODs. It should be titled Trials of the Coyote. We finally did it. We got our solo flawless, first time ever that we did a solo flawless, and we actually got a really good immortal out of it, which I might be using for tomorrow's stream and also for that raid that I had planned with my clan later. Be sure to check out the good old Twitch for that tomorrow. But more stuff. Some upcoming Fire Team matchmaking announcements that'll hit mid-season. Loose skill-based matchmaking settings are changing as well in mid-season. The competitive matchmaking and skill rating explained. Future skill and ranking matchmaking system adjustments. Upcoming competitive rewards mid-season and beyond. Quality of life improvements. Iron Banner and Trials. Upcoming Iron Banner plans for future seasons. Trials Labs, the new matchmaking set. Preview of the Trials changes for Season 21. Countdown Classic, Countdown Respawn, Countdown Rush, and Checkmate are coming. We wanted to start with a rundown of the items we're adding and the changes we're making to them. So, overall playlists and offerings. We've done a lot of reflecting on player feedback to the Crucible changes we made at the start of Season 19. We've recently moved Rumble back into the Crucible screen full time, and when Lightfall went live a few weeks ago, we also made changes to the quick play playlists and game mode waiting. Game modes. Increase the likelihood of gaining control as a game mode over Clash. Clash should probably stay in. Just like with Rumble, it needs to stay there and have something else replace in control. Maybe throw in Showdown. You go into quick play. You could get matched in a control, could get matched in a showdown, could get matched in elimination. Because honestly, those game modes being the rotators haven't been that fun. Because your attempt at just doing threes is limited very to competitive and to trials. Increased weightings for maps of Javelin 4, Burnout, Rusted Lands, Meltdown, and Wormhaven. Standard weight for Endless Vale, Altar of Flame, Distant Shore, Fortress, Pacifica, Radiant Cliffs, Bannerfall, Eternity, Willow's Court, Fragment, Willowstock. Reduced weighting on Disjunction, Cathedral of Dust, Twilight Gap, Dead Cliffs are in Clash only. Anomaly is back into the playlist at a reduced weighting, and Cauldron is back. Culture Clash only. Culture was the map that we got our first ever we ran as well. This season's been kind of good for us in PvP with this whole change. Not in the playlist, Exodus Blue and Convergence. Yes, but they're in the competitive, so what the fuck. Upcoming changes. In Season 20's mid-season patch, we'll be making another large set of changes. Clash will be leaving the quick play playlist, leaving only Control. So it reverts to its old name, Control, and will be replaced by Iron Banner when it is active. Both playlists will continue to have loose skill-based matchmaking, but will be only making changes to the matchmaking parameters. Loose skill-based matchmaking will have its skill and connection filters modified so that latency windows will be expanded at the slowest rate, and scan windows will start tighter but can be expanded more quickly as needed. This should manifest more evenly matched games with lower skill variances for most players, with the primary fallback being gradually increasing the skill variance as opposed to widening the connection quality. This does not mean you will never see lag in Crucible. We do not prevent players from manually joining fire teams to which they have a poor connection, and the connections are dynamic, so the quality can sometimes degrade mid-game for a variety of reasons. But it does mean that matchmaking will try to only expand connection brackets as a last resort once the available skill and fireteam size options have been exhausted. In addition, we are splitting up the current rotator in two separate playlists, which will rotate game modes weekly, and both use connection-based matchmakings with no plans to change this. So, in Crucible Relentless Rotator, this is one of the things they're adding, Clash, Rift, and Zone Control. We see this as our main haven of players who want to engage in large team-based gameplay outside of skill-based matchmaking. And having it will make sure that it's always a conventional team-based PvP when Iron Banner is active. The Relentless Rotator will be replaced when Trials is active. Okay, so you can still play Clash, Rift, and Zone Control when this is active. So if Iron Banner takes over Quick Play, the Quick Play node, this will be available for you to do until that. But it will be replaced when Trials is around. The Crucible Party Rotator will be Mayhem, Scorch, and Momentum Control. These are most significantly modifying the general sandbox of Destiny and play very differently than normal Crucible. All remaining freelance nodes have been removed with Fireteam matchmaking in place. So this is kind of what it's going to look like. Okay? So, yeah. So, you'll have the rotator. Yeah. So, Rumble, private match, and competitive will always be on. So when there's control, you'll have just control. And then there'll be the, Crucible Labs thing. Mayhem, Scorch, whatever. Trying to understand this. Okay. 3v3 countdown will be in the Crucible Labs. So, the Crucible Labs, competitive, your controller Iron Banner, Trials, which when Trials is active, this is replaced. So, when you get this for like the week until Trials comes around, and then all this other stuff. Okay, so at the start of Season 19, we added a new feature for our matchmaking called Fireteam Matchmaking. The goal of Fireteam Matchmaking is to keep fireteams mostly matched against other players of their size, making it easier to play as a solo or duo in 3v3 or 6v6. Matching teams of similar composition should make matches generally more approachable no matter the fireteam size. Our original hope was that we would have a full-time in quick play, which has no freelance node, and to test it out on Iron Banner by late January. Then it moved to other modes in Season 20 and slowly start removing freelance nodes altogether. The original few weeks of quick play were strong enough when looking at fireteam matchups, so we decided to enable an Iron Banner the first week and completely remove freelance by Iron Banner by January. To illustrate, the chart below shows the week 2 of Iron Banner. When we remove the freelance node, the chart is based around players' personal fireteam size and shows the compositions that were happening. So, okay. So, my fireteam size, 1-to-1, 2-to-1. So it generally started to look like it was starting to taper. Depending on how many people, this is what it looked like. So if you run a full fire team of 6, you're matching against another full fire team 95% of the time. If you ran solo, you went up against a full fire team 0.02% of the time. So your fire team size versus how the matchmaking went. So if you had a fire team of 1, there was a 0.02% chance that you would get a 6 stack. You know, if you had a team of it was 4, 4 to 1 to 1, this was always kind of even. I feel, generally when you think about it. So yeah, there's all the numbers. To combat both issues. Actually, wait, hold on. Okay, so these numbers are pretty good. So we move the freelance and abandoned mode. No matter what fire team you go in with, all the time you're put with nearly a composed matchup. However, there are 2 small areas we feel we can improve. First, for large fire teams, 4+ and 6v6, fire team matchmaking heavily prioritized equivalent fire team size over the others, so much so that it prefers to match 2 equally sized fire teams with a wide skill delta over 2 similarly sized fire teams with a narrow skill delta. Second, if fire team matchmaking is unable to find a suitable match for a large fire team with a given time, which approximately happens 1% of the time when searching for a 6-person fire team, you will default to the first available match, which sometimes results in a smaller number of matches mentioned above, or the 6-person matches match all solos. Say if you have 6, sometimes this would happen. These numbers. To combat those issues, in our mid-season patch, we will be making a change to Fire Team and Control and Iron Banner that, if matchmaking is unable to find equally sized Fire Team within a normal skill delta, it will allow it to search for a similar sized Fire Team with a narrow skill delta before holding up for an equally sized Fire Team with a wider skill delta. Example, if you are a 6-person Fire Team with a weighted average skill of 150, which I kind of wish we knew, the systems may prefer a 4-person fire team paired with a duo with an average weighted skill delta of 200, as opposed to waiting for another 6-person with the skill of 400. This should improve match quality and matchmaking times for larger fire teams. So, if you are, okay, so you're 6-person fire team, right? This will probably happen. If you're a 4-person fire team, you'll sometimes face a 6 stack. But also that means you might have a 2. So these numbers might, change. Okay. And let's change. Okay, so if you if you're so let's say you're a solo and you get matched against a 6 stack, that means you will probably have a 5 stack with you. In 3v3 front, we remove the freelance option at the start and add fire team matchmaking to competitive playlist, and when we see these following team compositions. So normally you would get this, but you'd still have, these happen on occasion. Never if you were a 1, you'd face a 3 stack, which rarely happens. I know in our trials matches we were gaining we were getting some 2s, but we were getting a lot of solo matches. That's how we were able to do it. When we did get 2s, the 2s were playing kind of. But Sunday that kind of changed a lot, I guess, because that's when they threw in other stuff. Full fire teams are matching as full fire teams 98% of the time. Fire teams of a duo and 1 solo are matching at the same percent. Since we removed the freelance node from competitive and trials, we like to share data purely from the POV of a solo player. So, if you solo queue, these are kind of what you deal with, which kind of made sense. I did feel like when I was in my fire team, I was getting a lot more 1-1-1. Whereas when the 2-1 happened, I also had a 2-1. So it was a 2-1, 2-1. And it was never a full 3. So this is generally what I like. We're happy with these numbers, although matchmaking times for 2-person fire teams are a little on the long side, so we may revisit that. Okay. So this is something for competitive. Another big feature we introduced in season was to revamp the competitive. Our goals we built it. All players should have balanced matches and feel competitive. A PvP player's rank is a core of Guardian's identity. Having a place where ecosystems do not engage in ranked play but still have a directly balanced matches, or do not engage in skill-based matchmaking at all. We designed competitive edition to be a ranking system tied to your skill, matchmaking rating, or MMR. Here's a graph to show the teams that have played 30 or more matches in. So basically around 3 games a week during season 19. Um, so if your comp rank was kind of in here, the thin black line is the target division for each skill, with the thick line is the mean division. So this is the mean division breakup. Outside of a handful of outliers, you can see that no one is either 1,000 rank. Yeah, so this is kind of, had your matchmaking at least a little better. When we look at the same graph from people who completed the games in season, nearly 15 a week, the graph shows better for more serious PvP players. So as your comp rank goes up, the skill changes are kind of, different. Okay. Outside of the noisiness of the lower skill brackets, there are a few lower skill but heavy PvP players. The average that lines up okay, medium to low. Okay. Okay. Now, so besides all the graphs and numbers, and so we don't blow our brain out, skill matching versus rank matching. Competitive division places players based on their skill, not their rank. This feels counterintuitive, but matching purely based on rank can lead to some bad side effects. Smurfing. High skill veteran players can create new accounts purely to play against lower skill players so they can mop the floor with them. This, of course, leads to mismatched games and drives newer players away from the game. While this is possible now, the skill system picks up on smurfing skills quickly and moves smurf accounts into the proper skill pool. Tanking. This is a high skill player intentionally losing a number of games in a row so they can play against lower players and do that. Currently, our skill system understands where they sit. It can be very time consuming to convince them if they are worse than they are when they are tanking. It will quickly bring them back up when they start actually playing again. So, while still possible, in both cases, our skill system makes the hassle of playing lower skill players much worse than the number of games against them will generate. So instead, we choose to matchmake based on skill values. This approach, the most modern ranking system it takes, is based on internal matchmaking rank and throttle and expand gains and losses of the ranking system, so it closely follows but never precisely matches the internal MMR. As the graph illustrates, a vast majority of players near their target division if they play enough matches, so we believe skill matching and ranking systems themselves are working well. There are caveats below. How is skill determined? There's a bunch of shit that I don't want to read. But go on to the rewards because that's what we're all here for. Competitive rewards. Now the other half. What do I get for playing highly competitive playlists? Well, here's what you can get. You can get increased rank. Get one roll of the Rose Hand Cannon each week. Find out where you stand in the PvP community. Earn seals. There should be more. We want competitive divisions to have more rewards to chase for our most dedicated PvP players. And back when we introduced the system prior to season 19, we promised more information. Today we have some. In the mid-season patch, Shax will give you a new emblem if you're Ascendant 3 or higher, with a stat tracker with your current rank in the PvP emblems. At the start of season 21, the Rose Hand Cannon will be replaced by a new competitive division-only sniper rifle for participation in the playlist. We plan to add new weapons to the competitive division every season. Rose will be available again, will be unattainable during season. Ooh. Lord Shax will also have a new Ascendant emblem and transmanic effect. There's transmanic effect. Can I see the sniper, please? It better be a 72. I want it. Division only sniper rifle. And here's like the transmat. So, yeah. Competitive quality of life mid-season. Spawn overshield, aka spawn protection. The overshield that you get a couple seconds when you respawn was originally tuned for Destiny 2's launch and has not been touched since. As anyone who has been killed while respawning can attest, the launch shield values have not kept up with our sandbox. In the mid-season patch, we're adjusting this. Okay. More spawn locations, backfield spawns. Okay. Lobby balancing changes. In Iron Banner, we had many Iron Banner details in the 12 last week, but we saved a few tidbits for the blog post. While many of us love Rift and the Fireteam experienced players, it isn't friendly to solo players, PvE players, or new players, as they would like when we feature a mode like Iron Banner. Except an Iron Banner specific twist to address those factors in the season, as well as new twists that we're cooking up as we speak. We are looking for ways to decouple the challenges of the earned daily reputation bonus from the complete matches with a specific subclass to earn a pinnacle in Iron Banner. We don't have a solution we are happy with yet. So at least they're telling us. With Iron Banner, when we enabled Fireteam matchmaking, which heavily prioritizes fighter teams, has given us the same benefits as having separate freelance playlists available. Without the downsides of directly splitting the population and making it difficult for duos to find quality matches, as with 6v6 Fireteam matchmaking, we'll monitor the initial settings, okay? We also have a few trials labs on the schedule, okay? So gather feedback on the new trials matchmaking system, which will remove the flawless pool and ticket-based matchmaking in favor of something different. Okay, we're getting somewhere here. They're cooking right now. Let them cook. The summary of the goals for the new trials meant allow players to play with friends without worrying about whether they've gone flawless, remove the motivation to reset cards in order to farm or carry, better protect players who are struggling to find success in the playlist. How does the new matchmaking work? Well, here you go. We will now have 2 always active soft pools. Soft meaning the matchmaking initially prefers it to not blend players, but will, if necessary, to find a good match quickly, so the distinction is not as dramatic between flawless and non-flawless in the current system. Challenger pool. This is where most players who currently play trials on a week-to-week basis and who want to go flawless will play. It represents the experience more like the original iteration of Trials in D1, without the focus of making games more difficult as the card progresses or after you've been flawless. The pool matches will be based solely on connection. There is no matchmaking based on tickets, the wins on the tickets, or weekly wins, or skill. Players who have any card with no losses, including a card after reset, or those playing with someone in the fire team who has a card with no losses, will be placed in this pool. Practice pool. This pool will be targeted at new or less experienced players who are not yet ready to give a flawless a shot. It represents a place for them to dip their toes in trials without being thrown straight into the deep end. This pool matches based on connection and weekly performance. This is how well you've done in trials this week, resets every week. Only players with a flawed card or those on their first game of the week can play in this pool. Everyone in your fire team must have a flawed card or be on their first game of the week. This pool has stomp protection. If you're consistently struggling, it will reduce your weekly performance rating, giving you slightly easier matches. Farming protection. If the system detects that you or a fire team member are likely to attempt to farm the practice pool, it will slow down your matchmaking initial times. And if you continue, it will lock you out of the challenger pool for the remainder of the weekend, regardless of your card's state. Okay. Oh, okay. Huh. I'm actually kind of interested. As always, we'll be playing alongside you in both pools, monitoring feedback on the new matchmaking systems as season progresses, with the intent to push it full in Season 21. Later in Season 20, we'll have a more in-depth discussion about trials, including additional changes that will be coming to the game on Season 20 that we'll be looking at. Updates to passages. Wealth. We'll give extra trials ranks on every win. The amount reward increases as your major rank increases. Mercy will now forgive 2 losses if you have not been flawless for the week. Reverts to its old behavior of forgiving a single loss once you go flawless. So basically Mercy is just getting better. So if let's say you lose a match, right? You lost. Okay, there's that one. You go again, you lose again, you're not gonna have to reset. You need to basically have 3 losses in a row to reset. That's cool. Flawless title changes to the Gilded Flawless requirements. We want to bring this more in line with the Gilded Glorious and better reward detection, along with individual and team skill in trials. A new Flawless emblem. Reward for going flawless without ever trailing in any of your wins. Experimenting with changing the main trials game mode to be Zone Capture Elimination, which will be renamed to Dominion. A new quest for people new to trials. New and returning game modes. Countdown is coming back. Countdown's reprised classic D2 elimination mode, which originally featured in Trials of the Nine. In Countdown, two teams go against each other with a single life battle for control of a Cabal charge. The Cabal charges on the map will serve as a focal point to force combat and exists as a team-based solution to the stalemate gameplay that exists in standard elimination. Once a charge is armed via interaction, it begins taking down its fuse, and defenders have 35 seconds to defuse a charge before it detonates. The elimination rules are active, and if the team is eliminated, the last team standing gains a point. As a part of the reprise, we brought variants of Countdown to like Respawn and Multi-Bomb. So here's what to expect. In Countdown Classic, standard Countdown experience. The elimination team BT with a Cabal charge. Once the charge exists, play via defusal or detonation, a round ends. The round also ends if the team is eliminated in the arm phase. In the defuse phase, the arm must be defused or the defenders will be eliminated at the end of the round. Attackers. Arm one of the two sites and defend the charge until it detonates. Eliminate the defenders as well. Defenders. Defend both charges from being armed. Defuse any active charges. Eliminating the team can win if any charge isn't in play. Holding up the attack wins. So settings. First to win 5 rounds. Revive tokens are enabled. Revive will be 1 token. Token loss on death disabled. Tokens per round 1. Score for detonations, defuses, eliminations, and defense. Maps. Fortress, Radiant Cliff, Pacifica, Midtown, Eternity, and Meltdown coming in Season 21. Countdown Respawn. So basically, okay. Same thing. The elimination rule has been disabled. Respawn, the seconds. Revives, 1. Lost token on death, disabled. Tokens per round, that. Same maps. Countdown Rush. Basically, when the charge exists, play via detonation disfusal, the other unarmed charge reactivates and is available to be armed. If both charges out of play, the round ends and swap. Players earn points on detonation, defense swing. Okay. 2 points if both charges are unarmed, 1 point if one charge is armed. One variation of Countdown that will be featured each week in Crucible Labs in week 5. Checkmate, not Lockmate. Looking forward as we're going to be exploring new modes that branch out from the standard Destiny sandbox. Checkmate is a new set of game rules intended to create a slower paced experience for players and more opportunity to react to encounters and where power spikes are earned rather than granted. This includes changes to how special ammo is required, ability recharges, weapon TTK, and player health settings. This mode is a significant shift from our core experience, and we're currently targeting Season 22 time frame to make sure that we have time to tune it. Excitingly, Checkmate is built as a modifier like what we use in Nightfalls. It needs to be applied to standard modes to give us maximum flexibility going forward. As we get closer to the final shape, we hope to convert some other modes, Momentum and Mayhem, into modifiers as well. Okay, that's cool. I'm interested. Looking at everything, I'm excited for what we're going to get. I want the sandbox that changes with it to also be addressed. Also, you're adding a sniper. Can you revert the sniper shit? Please. No. But that being said, Red Faction, I am your overlord. I will see you tomorrow on stream, where we'll be doing some Iron Banner and some more Pinnacle stuff. We were actually one chess piece away from having 1810 be our maximum level. That way we can start farming powerfuls and everything in hopes of building our builds and do other Pinnacle stuff to get more of that. And I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow. So with that being said, have fun. And remember, I have a Discord. You should join that, like, today. And also check us out on the Purple Faction tomorrow. Peace. Stop recording.